Yeah.
We got some questions, it looks like, already. Oh, no questions. Oh, okay. So, yeah, it's so hard sometimes. I want to assume everybody knows who you are because I feel like I've known you my whole life.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, so I guess you probably should do a little bit of an introduction and where
Sure.
you're at.
Sure. So, hi, you guys. Let's see how many people we have on. Oops, I just lost the whole camera. Hold on. We're at about 43 on the call, so that's pretty awesome. My name's Beverly Steiner, and I have been with Keller Williams for 21 years now. One of your speakers that you all know that's coming on, I think the last day of these calls, is Mo Anderson, and she is my partner in one of my businesses, and her and I launched couple of offices together back when I started. I'm operating partner of 3 offices. I live in El Dorado Hills, California, which is Northern California. I just had the honor of being able to become the operating partner now of the Southern California region, which is where you guys are. So I'm really excited to get to know all of you. And I teach for KW Master Faculty, and I don't know, I think that's the bulk of it. I have a dog who's sitting right next to me over here named Cooper.
What roles over that 21 years have you had, Bev?
Say again?
What roles have you had over that 21 years?
So I started, well, I've been an agent for over 40. So that's the first thing I was a real estate agent. Then I had a small team, a mega team. And then I became a team leader when I launched the offices. I was a team leader for 4 years. So I will never be in the Hall of Fame for team leaders because it's a 5-year gig to get that. So I didn't quite make it for years. Then I moved to OP. I've been the regional director of the Northern California and Hawaii region. And now I'm the regional OP of the Southern California region and an owner in the Northern California, Hawaii region. I think that's all the hats I've had.
Okay. In this last couple of years up there, you have battled with some fires.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I know you guys have too. Yeah, we had some, we had the Paradise Fire and then the one in the Santa Rosa area, and Santa Rosa was first, Paradise was second, then it comes back. I mean, it just seems like every year, even around me, when I'm in El Dorado Hills, I couldn't get fire insurance because there were fires at that time. And so I think we have some of the same stuff going on in our areas.
For sure. And yeah. I know we've been fortunate that we haven't had any big ones for about a decade, at least not that have threatened a ton of structures. Obviously you have. And when I think about where we're at right now and what we're all kind of going through on a global scale, for me, those fires, when they did hit hard, and I'm sure for you just last year, it's about as close as I've gotten emotionally to what we're going through now.
Yeah.
And so,
well, and it's always trying to put it into some kind of perspective, right? Every time something really crazy happens in the world, or even in your little world, it's an opportunity to rethink everything. And usually what we get to is what's most important in our lives versus what is frivolous. And I think during the fires, you start to realize your relationships are important and structures may fall. And as long as you have your animals and your people you love, it's fine. You're going to get through it. Life goes on. Maybe you have to make some adjustments. Maybe financially things change, but it's fine. And I think, Ashley, what I'm experiencing in this is, we're being forced to stay home. That's kind of a beautiful thing. We don't want to stay home, but we're being forced to spend time with our families. We're being forced to take a deep breath and stay home. We're being forced to read books and spend time on projects that we've always thought we wanted to do. Maybe stay in our jammies, maybe catch up on Netflix more than we ever thought we would. Maybe it's all like that, but it's slowing us down a little. And I was just thinking about, as I was thinking about this call, I was thinking about probably a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago, as I was running out the door, because I have 2 market centers in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I live in the Sacramento area. I was running out the door to go to the San Francisco Bay Area. And I'm thinking, okay, after that, then I've got to get on a plane and go here. And I was thinking about this region, and I've got to fly down there and meet the OPs. And so I was kind of managing my thinking. And I took a long, deep breath, and I thought, one of these days, I've just got to sit still for a little while and breathe.
So you created this.
God was listening. And he's like, really? Okay, I think we can do that. Maybe everybody needs a little of that, right? So I've thought about it, and I think, we are in a pandemic. So we have to put things into categories. So there's people that are real sick, and there's family members that are struggling with that. And we need to put it in that category, and our hearts need to be there, and our prayers need to be there. And we need to be responsible to that. So not only do I not want to go out into the world and get the COVID-19 virus, but I want to make sure that in case I'm a carrier, I don't give it to someone who gives it to someone who gives it to someone that I never meet, and it makes them very sick or kills them.
Yeah.
And I may never meet them. So those things are heavily in my mind. So you take that compartment, and you are prayerful and grateful that you and your family don't have it. My sister and her husband are recovering from COVID-19 right now in Seattle. They're fine. They're recovering from it. I just found out another person that I know real well, sister and her husband have it. They're recovering from it. So there's lots of good stories about the recovery, and now they're going to be, hopefully we believe that means that they can't get it again. We're learning about that. Right. So there's that compartment, and then there's the compartment of we have to stay home. And for those of you that are introverts, I don't know, Ashley, how many extroverts do you think we have on this call?
Well, right now it looks like we still only have 49 on here. I'd say 47.
Okay. Well, I'm an introvert that acts like an extrovert. So I was made for staying at home. I was built for this. So it doesn't bother me as much as it bothers others. I process it pretty well. And yet there's a lot of people that are really struggling because of the connection and not being able to go out. So putting that in perspective, and of course I wouldn't want you guys to talk to me and share and ask me questions or anything, because I don't by any means feel like I've got this all figured out, because this is a once every 100-year kind of gig, and none of us have this figured out. So what I try to think about is I have a few days where I'll go, is it today or is it yesterday? They're all the same and they're blending together. And I have days where I go, I'm working more than I was working before, because it's back-to-back meetings versus a couple meetings, 2-3 meetings a day. I have days where I'm ecstatic because I don't have to deal with a lot of running around and doing stuff. And then I have those down days. And I think one of the things I was going to say to the group is, I think it's okay to process the down days and to be authentic about them, and not to, spew them around to other people and make other people feel down, but more to just acknowledge you're going to have your days where you get a little scared. Like, how long will we be sequestered? What does it mean to our financial situation? What can I do to mitigate that? If you turn on the news and you hear how many people are sick and how many people are dying and how many the nurses and doctors are impacted by that, it can make you scared. And I think it's for me, it feels a little inauthentic to not be a little bit scared. And maybe we just need to be okay with, we're going to have those moments. I've had grumpy moments. Have any of you guys had grumpy moments? Like, there's just moments that it's hard to deal with me. And then I get off the phone and go, I'm hard to deal with right now. Then I have to call back and apologize. Right. And I realized that, I realize that there's people who will never get grumpy moments, but most of us will. Most of us will.
Tell me who those people are.
I know some, and they're like the saints in the world. I know a few of them, but those of us who do, I think we have to give more grace right now, and understanding that we're going through it, so they're going through it, and just give everybody a little more grace, and be available to talk, and be available for them to process verbally, and realize we all have to process verbally, probably. I think the people that struggle hardest are the ones that try to be stoic and strong every minute. I mean, I've thought about that, and I think that's hard.
Well, and that blocks energy. So if you block that energy, it's going to persist.
It's like a volcano. It's like a volcano that can't burst.
Right.
And then when it finally bursts, everybody watch out. It's really bad then, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the things. I wrote down some things for the call and I thought, well, what are my top, and I came with 11 things. What are my top 11 things? So one of them was, I wrote down, be okay with processing how you feel and don't stuff it in. You know, if you're afraid, be afraid. I've taken on the mantra of, I don't know if any of you guys, you're all probably too young to ever see the classic movie Gone with the Wind. And there's Scarlett O'Hara, if you don't know Gone with the Wind. Leona's nodding her head. I know she knows it. I know it. And was what used to be one of my favorite movies because Scarlett O'Hara was just this little scoundrel of a girl. And I just somehow related with her really well in some things. And there's a thing that she would always say when things would get tough, and things would always get tough for her because she was going through a tough time. And she'd say, I'm not going to think about that today. I'm going to think about that tomorrow. And there are just some things that I just use that mantra on. Now, when it's about my finances, I think well ahead on the finances because we have to be thinking about that today and tomorrow. But when it's a problem, I had somebody call me and go, what happens if this happens? What happens when this? And what happens if this? And I said, you know, I'm channeling Scarlett O'Hara. I'm not going to think about that today. I'm going to think about that tomorrow. So that's my mantra on that. I think the challenge we all might be having a little bit is routine. Like we're out of a routine and suddenly we have all the time in the world to do all the things, so we don't do any of the things. I don't know if you've experienced that, but that relates to my workouts. I was great and suddenly I have all the time of the world to decide when to work out and now I don't want to. So I'm trying to get that figured out. So I created a physical work routine that has to happen as part of my day before my day is done. So that's my mindset before my day is over. The next part is a routine about work because I think we're working more versus working less. And I started thinking about why is that? And I said, because I'm not getting up, getting showered, going someplace to work, and then coming home and being done.
There's no bookends.
There's no line,
yeah.
Right? So what I thought is we all need a physical space that is, we mentally say, I'm commuting to my job now. Then we sit down in that space, right? And then we do our work. And then we get up and go, I'm going to lunch now. And we leave the space and maybe we take the dog for a walk or whatever we do. Then we go, I'm going back to the office now. And it almost has to be visual for me. I'm very visual. And it has to be a location or a space. So I was thinking about, okay, that space has to get defined that I'm going to commute to every day. So when I'm done, I'm done. Because otherwise I could just sit in my location and answer emails all night long, right? Okay. The other thing I'm noticing is, I don't know if you guys have had, I've had a task list. Like I created, okay, I'm going to be spending this time at home. I can clean all the cupboards. I can reorganize my office. I can, paint something. I don't know if you have that, but I have had that. And then suddenly I'm not making any of those things happen for the same reason. There's too much time. And now I'm tired. So I've decided to create a task list, not too big of one. Just like for the weekend, I have one project I'm going to do. There's one small project. That's my project. The rest I can fill with other things that I made a list of possible other things. I wrote down what goes in matters. So what goes in our head affects how we feel. What goes into our mouth affects how we feel, what we're eating, what we're thinking, what we're digesting. And so my number 4 was what goes in matters, and it always matters, and particularly matters right now. I live alone with my dog. So my own conversations, whatever conversations I'm having with myself, can be good or bad at my own choosing. And I've learned what I fill my head with is usually what's roaming around in there. So it has to be some good stuff. So I'm not watching movies like The Pandemic. I'm not watching movies about Freddy Krueger, the murderer. I'm not watching any of that stuff because I don't want that in. Too much Zooming. The other one was people will feel grumpy. We talked about that. Number 6 was too much. We're zooming around. So we are now on the internet zooming around, and everybody who's ever wanted to be in our life can say, can we do a Zoom call? which means you're never going to get to the stuff you want to do because everybody's doing a Zoom call. By a raise of hands, how many feel like you're doing like 10 to 12 Zoom calls a day now, which is taking your whole day, right? Some of us, right? Some of you are like, heck no, I'm not doing that.
Well, we've talked about limiting, if you can, limit it to 2 or 3 a day.
Well, what I did is one of my agents was on the phone on one of our calls. It was a group thing. And he said, what I'm finding with his clients, even the clients that I used to call and say, hey, I'm sending over an inspection report and let's have a quick call on it, are saying, let's get on a Zoom call. And he said, and I said, yeah. So Keith, what they're basically saying is everybody wants to meet with you in person, where in the old days they were good with a phone call. So now you have to decide which ones are the people that get to meet with you in person. And they think you're just at home. So why don't we just meet, right? So you have to make a decision on that. I actually went to my team leaders also, and they were not getting to their most important top 20%. And I said, what's going on? And they said, Zoom calls, all the Zoom calls. And I went, all right, let's all get our calendar out and let's look at which ones of those you want to have and which ones of those are not important, and start making some decisions, because you're letting everybody into your world. And we know that you've got to limit that to what you want it to look like.
One of the things, Bev, I had my coaching call this morning with my MAPS transformational coach, and we talked about this. For those of us that are extroverts, last time I went through a time like this, 2008 and 2009, when the market was weird, we still could at least have masterminds. You know, we had events to go to literally, physically, energetically recharge our batteries. And it only translates so much via Zoom.
Yeah. And that's why the extroverts are having such a hard time. You're missing the hugs and the interpersonal conversations and that energy one-on-one. Those of us who are introverts don't get our energy from that. So our energy is better, honestly, in this situation than that, because we usually leave that to go recharge. And you guys, the extroverts, are going there to recharge. So we do have to understand that there's different behaviors that they're getting affected by this in different ways, right? Yeah. Voice of reason. I think the most important is to have one that's not you. A voice of reason that talks you off a ledge now and then. Figure out who's your person. It could be a spouse, it could be a best friend, it could be a coworker, but figure out who the voice of reason. I have a couple of them and they have saved me. I think we need to laugh a lot. I think the funny things, there's nothing funny about the pandemic, but there are funny things that are perspectives that we're experiencing about the pandemic. Some of you guys have seen, I'll collect the best of the little memes out there and put them in a group and go, okay, here's the ones I saw this week that cracked me up. It's not that I'm laughing about the pandemic, but I'm laughing about us as humans and the way we think and the way we do stuff. And it just lightens things up for me. I don't know. And then I thought, what's the beauty? And I know you all probably have some and I'll want to hear it, but what's the beauty that's coming from this? Our world is healing. The waters are getting clearer. There's less congestion from automobiles. Our earth is healing. And we're getting to breathe, and we're getting to slow down, and we're getting to decide what's important, like what's really, really important in life. And boy, all that busyness doesn't have to happen to be successful. So there's all kinds of things I think we're getting from this. What am I missing on the healing? What else? Find the beauty. What's more beauty in that? Your relationships. I had somebody say, I had a call with a girl yesterday who's in my office, and she said, gosh, I know people who are stuck in the room, stuck in space with their significant others or their spouses, and they don't like each other anymore. And then I said, and conversely, there's probably people that haven't spent time with their significant others and their spouses, and they're rediscovering each other now because they're like, wow, you're actually kind of a cool person now that we get to sit and spend time together, So I think there's both of those. What was it? Okay. I told you guys about the irony. I need to slow down, and then just the expense issue, just to make sure you're solid. And I think the really important, we've got a crew that from one of my offices that they're just killing it in the real estate industry. And we have two groups. We have one group that are very, very safely and consciously out there doing business still in a very dynamic way with their clients who need to do business right now. We have the other group that says, absolutely not, I'm doing nothing. And that's totally cool too, because that's their decision. Like maybe there's compromised in some way in their physically that they shouldn't be out. And then we have the middle that are kind of stuck. And they're like, I kind of like to be doing some business and I don't know how. So we're getting our best of our best producers on a call on Friday, or our ones that, not our best of the best, but our ones who are really doing a lot of production still. And we're having them help with mindset around that, yeah, you can still do real estate, which is now an essential service. We can still do that, and we can still do it safely, protect our clients, and do it in a way that gets a person from point A to point B, because really still there's people that need to move for very specific reasons and still want to, and we can still facilitate that. So those are my top points. Now you guys ask me any questions you want, or Leslie, Ashley, if you want me to be done, tell me that you want me to be done.
Hopeful. I prepped them all and said, please ask questions.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I just kind of wanted to open it up with some thoughts, and now you guys tell me whatever it is I can talk about. Or I should hear from you.
Are y'all there? I see.
Hey.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, we got nothing.
Hey, so I just wanted to tell you guys, I mean, I've been very emotional through this whole thing, and I've been going through like little phases. But I think what I found that has really uplifted me this last week is I think I'm the kind of person that just cannot be here by myself. And I have, thankfully, I mean, my husband and my grown kids are with me, but I think I need a purpose, you know? So me and a couple other ladies started this little Go-Givers group where we've raised hundreds of dollars for masks.
I love that, Grace.
I think just getting the momentum of doing something. So our next project will be probably feeding, families or something. But it has given me a little bit, and I think everybody needs it, right? You need a little bit of purpose in your life other than just sitting
Grace,
at home.
That is so powerful of a statement. That is so powerful, because when we usually get depressed or melancholy is when we're spending a lot of time thinking about ourselves or our own circumstances. And when we usually get out of that is when we just shut that down and focus on somebody else and what we can do for them. So you have the right name, Grace.
Oh, thank you.
You have the right name. That's a great statement.
You're so sweet. Thank you. But that was I hope that helps someone that is feeling that way, because it really does change your mindset.
Love, love, love. Love it. You're getting a lot of I love yous in the chats, by the way, Grace.
Beverly, you've gone through quite a few of the shifts over the years that you've
Yes,
stayed. So
absolutely.
I have two questions. What's the biggest lesson you've learned in life through the life that you've lived up to this point? And what's the biggest lesson you've learned in business up to this point that you go forward?
Love those questions, Kelly. From the business, I'll start in business, and then the life one will probably choke me up. But in business, the people who stay on point and don't get discouraged, that have the ability to rebound and not get discouraged and stay down, always make it through in a big way. And usually take territory. And Gary talks about that quite a bit. But in other words, the ones who get discouraged quickly and pull back in a market shift, or they don't know what to do and they don't go after it and learn from those who do know what to do and feel tentative, usually they have a harder time recovering from a shift and lose ground. The ones who will learn from those who will teach, because there's a lot of us that will be teaching what to do, the ones who will learn, which is basically doing the basics. Usually any shift just takes you right back to the basics. And the ones who will go, I'm going to embrace that, and I'm going to take it powerfully, they get through the shift just fine. And when they get to the other side, as you have heard Gary say over and over, they've gained ground. So they gain market share and opportunity that they didn't have when they went in, because they kind of up their muscle a little bit on it, right? And not get discouraged that you have to work harder through a shift. You just have to emotionally make the decision, when a market's shifting, I have to work differently, and I have to be willing to put in some extra time. That's that. Now the personal piece, what I've learned, it's just a simple thing. And the only thing that matters, see, I'm gonna get choked up, dang it. The only thing that matters is love. That's it. Love for each other, love for each other's situations, trying to understand points of views that aren't the same as yours, coming from a place that I like to believe that people are basically good. And sometimes the ones who turn bad, something happened, I don't know what. And sometimes it was beyond their control and it messed them up a little bit, and they can come back from it. And then there's those that were born of the devil and will never come back from it. So you just keep moving past those. But beyond that, your people that are around you, it's just that simple. There isn't one financial issue. There isn't one argument. There isn't one relationship that can't be healed if you just came from a place of love. And it's a really hard lesson to keep remembering, because you get frustrated, or somebody makes you mad, or you're scared. Mostly sometimes our reactions come from being scared. And when that happens, if we can just go back to the center and go, how do I love through this? So how do I ignore something that somebody said about me or to me? How do I help somebody fix whatever it is that they're going through? Or maybe I just have to sit with them and let them talk and just love them through it. It's so cool, because you're going to hear Mo, and Mo's just my, and I know Ashley, you feel the same way, and many of you feel the same way. Mo's just my heart person. And I had the beautiful opportunity of starting with Mo in the year 2000 as my partner. So I've had just a very deep personal relationship with her, not just business, but like a family relationship. And when I had the opportunity to get involved in your guys' region, I called Mo and I said, I was kind of headed somewhere else. And like Grace said, I'm always thinking about how can I contribute. And I was thinking about, I think I'm going to be contributing this way. And I got a call right when my foot was going that direction. I got a call and they said, hey, what do you think about this? And I stopped and I went, well, I don't think that's in my plan to do Southern California. I just wasn't, but let me think about it. So I called Mo and we talked about it, and she thought it was a good idea. And so anyway, so I processed through, very unattached to the outcome, meaning I would love the opportunity, but if it's not meant for me, I won't do it. And I know I'll go the other direction. And it went through like clockwork, like it was meant. And then Mo says, I'm so proud of you that you're doing this. No matter what, just always come from love with the people you're now encountering, which was so perfect, because it's, there are times you'll see me, where is she? Val's on this call somewhere, my friend Val. There's sometimes, oh, there she is, Valerie. There's sometimes I'm strong, so I don't mean to be mushy. I'm not mushy love, right, Val? There's not mushy love. I'm mushy love if I need to, but there's strong love too, and there's velvet hammer love, and there's loving someone through something by making them stand up kind of love, right? There's just different kinds of love, and so I don't mean to be all mushy on this call, because I think love comes from different perspectives. There's not letting someone hurt themselves love, not letting someone make a bad decision about their business love, right? And coming from the right place. So I think it goes across all borders, and it's the hardest thing it's the hardest thing we're called to do, and we are called to do it. I do spiritual studies every morning. And for me, it's Christian studies, and I do spiritual studies on that. And the basis of that is love. If you just go, and the most important piece of that is love. So did I overkill that, Kelly? I hope not. I just want to get that through. When we're making our clarifying, when we're making clarifying decisions, one, I pray about them, and two, then I have to go, what's the right thing to do, and how do I come from love? And sometimes I don't want to, right? Sometimes I don't want to.
Beverly, that was a great response. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Kelly.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
thank you.
Bev, there was another question up there. Matt has asked, if you're in production now, knowing what you know, what would you be focusing on when we come out of this?
What is so great? If you're in production now, what's so great? The fact that you are in production now. That's awesome. And I would be focused on two things right now to make you come out strong. Stay in production as much as you can. Be touching that database and creating value for your database at a really high level. That doesn't mean you're calling and saying, do you want to list your house in the pandemic when you don't want to list? It's just loving them up and taking care of them and giving them resources. Like one of the resources I love is we have Keller Covered, right? So they might be able to get a reduction on their insurance policies if they'll just try it. You don't make anything from that, but you can give them the opportunity to look at that, right? So staying in touch with them and getting your command platform up and running so that you have that dialed in and you're using it to the maximum when we come out, because you have right now, someone has sat you in a chair and said, well, here's where you are, so you might as well do it, right? You have the opportunity right now. Soon as we come out, if you look at what's going on in China right now, they're letting their people out of quarantine. And have you seen, they've got people are in lines everywhere. They've got people everywhere because it's like, you know, it's like you let the cows out of the barn, everybody's running, right? So all of a sudden it'll be too hard to settle back down again, right? So I think this is the time to connect with your database, practice some Facebook ads, see how it works, play around with that. Keep doing the business with the clients that you have that need you to facilitate that business. And just stay on top of it, because when it comes out, I believe there's going to be pent up need.
Yep.
I think there's people sitting in their houses right now going, okay, that's it. As soon as this is over, I'm getting this on the market. I'm going to go find the house that I've been meaning to move to, right? I think there's people saying this house is too big for me now. I'm going to get to that smaller house. I bet
big
there's
enough.
people, say what, Ashley?
Or not big enough.
Or not big enough. I think there's people saying, you know what, I want to live closer to where my family is, right? I think there's people that might be saying, I want to be further away now from where my family is, right? Because we had a lot of each other. But I do believe there'll be pent up demand. I'm not sure about the price points and how that works. But I will say, I think there's going to be pent up demand. And I think people will be more than excited to try to get back into the world again.
I remember in 2010 when Gary was saying with the first time homebuyer tax credits the government had done, we were borrowing buyers from the future.
Yep.
So we're going to have a great 2010, but then 11 and 12 might be slower. Well, now the buyers are on the sideline. And
yeah. Well, here's what's interesting. Some of them are not. So we do see many of them on the sideline. I think our jumbo loans are a little bit dicey. So we may have some of the higher end on the sideline a little bit right now. I'm hearing, I'm in the Sacramento market and in the Bay Area market, and I keep hearing the buyers are out there. And they're maybe not 100% of them. And actually some of them are on the sidelines for sure. And yet remember that there are buyers out there right now, and they're very willing to do the virtual tours and very willing to, one of our agents just recently, she's a high-end luxury agent, and she just recently had a client come in, do a virtual tour, put an offer on the property sight unseen, and with the dynamic that will now take you in and let you see it now that you put an offer in subject to that. And they bought it and it's getting ready to close escrow. Yeah. So they're out there. Just be careful of what you let into your mind, because there are some limiting beliefs out there, and surround yourself with the people who are doing it if you want to stay involved. And if you have compromised immune system or something that causes you not to, then just go all in on managing that database, getting command up and running, and doing all that stuff.
One of the things I'm so proud of with our agents in our market center is with the agents, some of them who are not comfortable going out, they're partnering up, and we are seeing deals happen. Actually, the San Diego market is down about 30% of the activity that it was this time last year, but our office is way outperforming those numbers. So,
Outstanding.
and it's taken everybody to come together. It's been really cool to watch.
And it's resourceful to do that, right? There's people that want to be out doing what they're doing, and they're doing it with masks and gloves and all the right ways. And then there's others that say, I don't want to be out, but I don't want my clients not to be able to do something. So that's resourceful. That's so cool. So cool. Do you see my dog's nose? He's looking now. He's up here deciding that it's time for me to look at him, not at you guys.
He's so cute.
Here, I show you my dog. A little bit of happiness. This is Cooper.
Hi, Cooper.
Valerie's knows Cooper. Valerie is Cooper's friend.
Maybe we should have doggy play dates on Zoom.
Oh, that'd be so cute. That'd be so cute. What else? Anything else you guys I can help you with in any way? I love that I'm getting this opportunity. I really love it too, because I've just come to your region. So the fact that Ashley invited me to do this is great, because I'm getting a little bit of an introduction to some of you that I don't know. So it's really cool.
We've got some cool people.
Yeah.
Another question that came up is, my biggest challenge that's holding me back is belief in myself. Can you speak to this, and how do you improve your self-confidence?
Well, I would get with a person that can help you with that, because I think it's probable that you don't see in you what other people see in you. And sometimes you just need someone to tell you what they see. I know when I was interviewing with Mo Anderson, she asked me, this was 21 years ago, she said, what are some of your faults, in the career visioning? What are your faults? And I gave her 2. She asked me for 3. And the third one I said is, sometimes I see someone's potential in them when they don't see it. And then I get frustrated that they don't see it. And I don't know why they don't. And so whoever feels that you have confidence, if you're worried about confidence, one thing that you can do is you can learn from people what to do so you can feel confident in the actions. And then you can talk to people who know you better than you. For some reason, you're looking in the mirror and you're not seeing everything you have. And so get to the people who see everything you have and let them tell you what they see. And I bet you'll be shocked. So if you marry that up with the first piece is you marry it up with the learning. You get the learning pieces done and learn from all the people who are doing what you wish you could do. Just go out, learn from them, and just be willing to do it. And then talk with your person or your coach or whoever it is that's going to help you see. And then you just have to have faith after that and say, I'm going to take faith that what I learned and what these people see in me is correct. And I'm going to marry that up, and I'm going to go take the action. And one of the statements that we say in bold is, you can have faith or you can have fear. And so I think what happens is we get fear, and then we think something's wrong with us, that we're afraid. And I don't know a person who doesn't have fear, not one single one. It's the ability to take action through it. And what I find is when I'm afraid of something, and I often feel like, gosh, will I be good enough to do this? And then I think, you know what, I just have to do my very best and take action through it. And the moment I start moving into action, the fear disappears, because I don't have time to have the fear because I'm so focused on the doing. So that would be like the third step in my mind. Whoever that was, I hope that helps you.
All right, I don't see any other questions up there.
I'm so honored to have been asked to do this. I saw some of the people that you have coming on the call in the coming weeks, and I thought, I don't know how Ashley threw me up there with all those guys, because they're amazing. But I will tell you, I'm very honored, and it's very exciting to get to see. Some of these are my old faces of my old friends, and some of you are new faces. So I'm extremely excited, and I'm hoping that one of these days when I can get back on a plane and be down in that region, we'll have some kind of an event that we'll get to have a hug with each other. Yay! I've got a couple people clapping. Thank you, Mindy. Anything else? I just thank you guys for letting me have the honor of being on this call.
I'm just going to say, you had said Mo's our last one. She's on the 21st, but we actually I'm planning these all the way through May because I think we're going to be at home till May.
Love it, Ashley.
Confirming others now.
I love that, Ashley. That is so cool. And I'm sure everybody is so grateful because it is a mind shift help to hear from different people on what they're thinking and how they're managing it. And I think it is. Oh, I heart you. Thank you, Sebastian. I heart you, Bill picture. That's cute. Thank you, guys. Thank you all so much for letting me be. Let me know if there's anything, if there's anything you need, let me know. I'm at home.
All right, walk the dog.
I will. Bye, y'all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bev.